to see your superiors, like your boss or whoever, in a casual setting can be helpful, right? You see somebody sitting in a suit at a desk all day long. You don't know anything about their family or what they like to do when they're off work, and or what they like eating or anything. It's great to get to know somebody on a different level, and I think it really makes for much better cohesion between teams.
Welcome to The Expansion Code. I'm Heather, and I could not be more excited to finally launch this podcast. This is the space where we dive into all things business, growth, leadership, and team expansion. I am really passionate about building something bigger than myself, sharing knowledge, and creating opportunities for others to thrive. I started solo, and now I lead a team of over 50, so trust me, I know the highs and the challenges and the incredible moments that come with scaling a business. Throughout this podcast, I'll be sharing insights, strategies, and conversations with some truly incredible guests. We are going to cover everything from marketing and leadership to mindset shifts and business expansion. So my goal is to give you real actionable takeaways that you can apply to your own journey. Let's dive in, learn together, and unlock what's next. Welcome to The Expansion Code. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Expansion Code with Heather Dick. That is me, your host. Today, I have a person who is completely new to my life, so that is exciting. This is Ashley Luck. She is the co-founder and owner of AMP, also known as AMP Solutions, which is a luxury corporate retreat business, and I am so excited to talk to you today. Ashley, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get started talking about retreats, because I've actually had numerous guests on the podcast. They've taken and they've organized retreats for their clients. So that's nice. There's a little tie-in. Before we start talking about that, I would love to hear how you got into this, your intention with it, and just kind of what your company does, full stop.
So I'll kind of give you a little bit of my origin story. Right after high school, I traveled quite extensively. I lived in England and Australia, and then I kind of traveled around for about 10 years, back and forth, Edmonton, here, there, everywhere. And when I returned home to settle down, I got a job in corporate event planning for quite a large, like a worldwide construction company, PCL. And I loved it. It was great. It was super enjoyable. They ended up sending me to school to get my event management diploma, which was awesome. I really liked a lot of the shorter term goals with events that don't really come with large projects in construction. So, you plan an event and 6 months later it happens. So it was really awesome to see my events come to fruition. And it was a really big motivator for me. So then after that, I moved over to corporate planning for a large Canadian law firm. And while I was there, I was doing about 110, 120 events per year. So it was quite a few. I had an assistant, but it was a very heavy lift. And then COVID hit. So I got sent home and there wasn't any in-person events happening. So I did what everybody else did during COVID, and I got pregnant.
I don't think everyone did that. I think a lot of people split up.
Yeah.
Or they got a puppy.
And then the other ones got pregnant.
Yeah,
so I got pregnant and stayed home with my son for 14 months. And so after that, I thought, I don't really want to go back into an office. I don't want to miss out on driving my son to daycare. I don't want to miss out on going on field trips with him. I wanted to be home with him. And my husband owns a whole bunch of different businesses in Edmonton and is in and out of town. And so I thought, at being the primary parent, which moms often fall under, I thought I want to be here for him. So I thought, I'm going to do a little bit of contract planning in Edmonton. So I'll reach out to some of my contacts. I'll do some contract planning in Edmonton. And I ended up finding a company that asked me to do a corporate retreat in the States for them. And so kind of from there, everything just sort of took off. Essentially, I designed my own job because there's very few of us corporate retreat planners. I'm probably the only one that does what I do in Edmonton, if not Alberta. There's very few companies. I know of one company in Ontario that does it and one company in Dallas. So there's very few of us. So I essentially planned my own job and based it on things I love, which is traveling and being organized and being a really great integrator of, different aspects of things. And so I started my own corporate travel agency. So you have to work with the government, the federal government, to become accredited to be a travel agent, which involves a whole bunch of different things and bonds and money and things like that. But I own a corporate travel agency. I don't do any personal travel. And so right now my company is pretty much a hybrid between concierge services and travel. So I plan all aspects of corporate retreats. I do flights, accommodations, facilitators, activities, dinner reservations, transportation, sort of everything. I have clients from all over the world, and I plan retreats all over the world, and I have access to properties and experiences that the public normally wouldn't have access to. So that's what I'm able to offer my clients, are these really once in a lifetime experiences that they wouldn't be able to normally access if they were planning on their own.
Wow.
It's pretty
That's
neat. I've seen
that's
some pretty cool
incredible.
things. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
maybe it's just because this is like so far out of my reach, maybe, or because I have such a large
Mhm.
team. Taking my team on a retreat sounds like the last thing I'd ever be able to do. And here you are making a career out of it. Like that's incredible.
Yeah, I'm busy. I'm as busy as I want to be. I mean, in the
Yep.
first year that I started, I took on every single client that I could just to build my business. And now I've really come to the, part in my business where I can sort of pick and choose my clients, and I know, after the first time of talking to them, if it's going to be a good fit or not. I do pretty high end luxury travel. I don't do any, budget lower end stuff. So I'm quite focused on what groups' budgets are, because I do plan, a high end experience, and I pride myself on planning a high end experience. I wouldn't feel good if I gave somebody, not the best experience that I think that I could give them.
Hmm.
And I'm very organized. I get stuff done. I have an assistant. She gets stuff done, and we just bang things out like no one's business. So it's
Hmm.
really fulfilling, because again, it's those short term goals that I love.
Yeah. So who's hiring you? Like what are these, like big corporations? Or are they like smaller companies?
So I would say my primary clients are EO, which is the Entrepreneurs Organization. They're a worldwide organization of entrepreneurs that are put into peer groups. There's chapters all over the world. Edmonton has 125 people in their chapter. YPO, which is the Young Presidents Organization. They're again very similar to EO. They're a worldwide organization that has smaller peer groups. And Tech Canada, which again is another uh, peer group organization in Canada. So mostly through word of mouth, I've reached EO and YPO and Tech chapters from all over the world. And I do forum retreats mostly. So about 80% forum retreats, which is the smaller peer groups of 8 to 10 people. They have a retreat requirement that they have to go on retreat every year, and I do the planning for them. The other 20% of my work are for bigger corporations. My sweet spot's kind of like 5 to about 100 people. So, company wide retreats, there's a lot of businesses, especially in the States, that are fully remote, that get together once a year. And so I do a lot of planning for them. A lot of my EO clients hire me to do their executive retreats, their executive teams, or their company wide retreats. And then I do a little bit of chapter retreats for EO and YPO as well.
Okay, so tell me, that's incredible. Ashley, that's so awesome. Good for you. I love hearing success stories like that, especially in like such a niche business. But that's probably one of the reasons why you're so successful, is it's such a niche market. So, what makes a retreat really impactful? Why are companies doing retreats instead of doing these smaller team building exercises?
I think when groups can get together and be out of their comfort zones, I think that a lot of realizations and a lot of impactful things can happen when you're not comfortable. And I think,
Mm,
you know, being uncomfortable is being safe, but still uncomfortable, is a really kind of good point for teams to be at, where they can, you know, be work together and be out of their their computers that they sit at all day or their offices that they sit at all day, and have intentional moments where they can, realign themselves and meet people in person. I work with so many teams that have never met each other in person before, and this will be the first time that they've ever seen each other face to face. And when you connect with
Wow.
somebody face to face, it's a lot different than when you connect to somebody on a computer, right? And so then when
Hmm.
they go back to their workplaces or their houses where they work, or wherever, they're more connected with each other. They work better together. They found friends within their company that they didn't know they had, right? And I think the most impactful moments happen, during dinner. People can have a few drinks, or on a hike, or you know um, the forum groups do a lot of vulnerable sharing during facilitated sessions. One big thing that I really suggest groups do is called a life walk, and they essentially talk about the most impactful moments, starting from when they were their earliest memories up until now, like, the 5 or 6 most impactful moments that happened in their life. Your dad died, your parents got divorced, you got divorced, you had a miscarriage, like all these different really impactful things, and everybody sits and listens, and you just
Mm,
go through and talk about all of these things, and everybody does it, and it really brings people together, and close, because it humanizes people, right? You don't know a
yeah.
lot about the people you work with, or the people on your team, until you can kind of get out of the office and sit together and connect that way.
And I think also it allows us to create a little bit more space for the people that we work with. I think, especially for those that work in person, if so and so for the past 3 months has been quiet or removed,
Mhm.
it allows us to, like you said, it humanizes them, and oh, right, this is a person going through their life as well, just the same way I am.
Right. And also to see your superiors, like your boss or whoever, in a casual setting can be helpful, right? You see somebody sitting in a suit at a desk all day long. You don't know anything about their family, or what they like to do when they're off work, and or what they like eating, or anything. It's great to get to know somebody on a different level, and I think it really makes for much better cohesion between teams.
Yeah, I completely subscribe to that. I 100% agree, and I think that there's a level of professionalism that a leader needs to take, of course, or someone in a management role, but also they can't just be corporate the whole time. They need to be
Right.
relatable, and they need to have real emotions, not, I mean, like crazy, chaotic things, but I think that it's true. Oh wow, I love my new little friend that I made in you. Um, okay, so what are some common mistakes you see being made with retreats, or myths, or anything like that? Like, what do you see out there?
A lot of clients that come to me that they've never used anybody like me before, but they've done retreats in the past, a lot of times they have, like an executive assistant, for example, plan,
Right.
and they use me and they keep coming back. The majority of my clients come back year after year, because they see how great it is to just show up and be able to let go and enjoy yourself with your team, rather than worrying about, like, who's getting on the bus, what time is our dinner reservation, who's sleeping where. Like, every single detail is taken care of. I put everything in an itinerary. Everybody can see in a live itinerary, day to day, has a flight changed, has a ride changed, everything. So executive teams can go and just enjoy themselves. I think one of the biggest mistakes they make is, usually I work with one person planning it or spearheading it. And one of the biggest mistakes that they make is having multiple people sort of work with me,
Mm,
because when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, it gets a lot harder to make, it makes it a lot harder to make decisions. So
yeah.
my biggest piece of advice would be, assign one person, whether it's an EA, whether it's the president of the company, it doesn't matter, to work with the retreat planner to do all of that planning, because it can get very, very chaotic. And my other tip would be not to overschedule. It's really nice to have downtime. You see TikToks and stuff all the time of people, like, going into their hotel room after a day at a conference and literally leaving back out again 1 second later to go to dinner, because they have no downtime. And it's
Mm,
hard. It's tiring. It's exhausting. Like, people need to have room to breathe and have a shower and call their families and
mm.
just relax and things like that, right? And so I try to always leave a little bit of time for people just to have a nap. Like, usually on these retreats, people are partying pretty hard.
Right.
I will say that
Yeah.
the majority of my clients, like, they're out partying and
Yeah.
dinners and wine and clubs and things like that. Like, it's nice to have some downtime to just chill and relax, because then you're good to go for the next event, right? So I
Hmm.
think a lot of people, they really want to get their money's worth and just overschedule and put a million things in, but there's some really powerful moments I think that can happen when people have room to breathe and think. And I think that executives and people planning this need to remember that.
Do you think I've been on a couple business retreats, and so
Mhm.
I actually feel like I can relate to this. Do you think that it's better to put those down times periodically throughout the day, or is it better to have like just a 3 hour block at the end of the day? Like, what's your take on that?
Normally what I do is I give people a block before dinner,
Right,
5 to 7 or 4 to 6 or 4 to 7, just because you've, probably gotten up early, you've been doing stuff all day. There's a lot of facilitated sessions in the retreats that I plan. I work with a ton of different facilitators, and those are quite like mentally tiring. And
right.
so, to have 2 or 3 hours at the end of the day to nap, shower, get ready for dinner, call your kids, call your wife, whatever, it's nice to have that time. I find that front loading it and then giving some time and then back loading it again. A lot of the groups I work with, they like to go out to bars after, or go, pub crawling and whatever. So it's nice to have that time beforehand to just relax.
Right. Oh, my brain is spinning with questions right now. So, a business owner, as I'm stuttering, this happens
Mhm.
all the time when I'm talking to counterparts. I'm like, "Bup, bup, 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 bup." You can just tell my brain's not, it can't catch up. Um, when would you, when would you start thinking about doing a retreat as a business owner? Is it at the beginning? Do you start this something like right off the hop? Is this something that you gradually work into? Like, do you have any advice for owners that way?
If you have a remote team, I would say right away you need to start thinking about once a year getting your team together, uh, because everybody is remote. And there are so many. I am amazed at how many. Like, I haven't worked in corporate in a long time, but I'm amazed at how many teams are completely 100% remote, right? So if you have
Hmm.
a remote team where even 80% of your employees are remote, once a year I would say is a really great time. You have to pick a slow time and get together just to form that team cohesion. If you're a startup and you don't have the funds for it, even like a one night overnight somewhere local where at least the
Mm,
team can do some facilitated work, have dinner, go out together, stay at a hotel, maybe do some stuff the next morning and be home by 3 p.m. is great too. Like, it doesn't need to be this week long thing. It can just be a night or a
yeah.
day, and to start out slow. If you don't have the funds and you're a startup, that's great. At least you still get a little bit of time together. And I've worked with teams like that do that all the time. They just do, facilitated session, dinner and mini golf and some drinks, facilitated session the next day, and everybody goes home. And it's enough to just kind of bring everybody together.
Right. What are people doing in these facilitated sessions that you're talking about? Like, what does that mean to you?
There's lots of different facilitators out there. It's a little bit of a saturated market. I mean, I work with some really great people that I know are awesome. Usually, so either teams decide to go like a personal route and get a facilitator in to do, like I said, the life walk or breath work or talking about mental health or burnout or things like that. Or sometimes facilitators like to, or teams like to have facilitators come in to talk about, are the right people in the right seats in our business? Do we have
Mm,
a core philosophy? Do we have, what are our goals and values of our company? Do we need to have, make some new core values, things like that? So there's two different ways you can go about it. I mean, I've had facilitators come in and essentially teach teams how to run their executive teams, and then I've also had facilitators come in and do breath work and sound baths. Like,
mm.
it's kind of, what you're looking for, what your goal is, how intimate you want things to be. A breath work sound bath can be a little bit more intimate. If you don't want that, maybe something else. So you could really get a facilitator for really anything.
Okay. I like this. Do you have so you talked about doing like a weekend away, and I'm sure that the retreats are up to like a week long, like I'm not sure however long they
Yeah,
are.
5 days is usually probably the
Okay.
longest I've done.
Do you have advice on like when someone should start booking that and like any timelines, how to make it worth the investment, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've done ones. I've had people call me in a panic and say like, we're leaving in 1 month, and I was supposed to plan this and I forgot or I didn't do it. And I mean, I have access to a lot of different options, so you can figure it out. But I mean, I would say about 6 months ahead of time is a perfect time, because you can hotels and restaurants and things have availability. Flights are a good price if you have to fly somewhere around 6 months ahead of time. You know, as you get closer, the first thing I do, and my process is I meet with my clients, I have them fill out a survey, and then I book Airbnb, hotel, wherever they're staying, because that's the thing that gets booked up the most. Then we can kind of start working on the little things. Facilitators always next, and then, dinner reservations, um, activities, team building activities, and then the last one would be like transportation, like vehicles and buses and things to take them around, because we need an itinerary before we know where we're going.
Mhm.
And so those people are traveling right now. Like, it's a really busy market, and
Mhm.
so hotels and Airbnbs and properties are getting booked up very, very fast. Even the super high end, really expensive ones, which is kind of surprising. But
Hmm.
there's been a post COVID resurgence of
Yeah.
people spending money on this. And so, 6 months is a great time, but if you need to do it within a month, I mean, you have to manage your expectations. It's like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna give me a month's notice, you're probably not gonna have your top hotel that you wanted to stay in, and you might not have your top three hotels you wanted to stay in, right? So
Right.
it's all about managing expectations with my clients. Like, if you give me lots of time, we can curate something really awesome. If you give me a month, it'll still be awesome, but it might not be quite as awesome as if you gave me 6 months.
Right. And how do you tailor your events to each of your clients?
I meet with them multiple times, get a really good idea of their demographics. What's important to them. Is good food important to them? Is good wine important to them? Do they like craft cocktails? Do they like speakeasies? Do they like hiking? Do they like adventure? I've done like backcountry canoe trips. I've done like scaling a building. One of my groups like scaled a building in Toronto from the top to the bottom. They like rappelled down.
Wow.
Do you want to do extreme sports? I had a group do a dirt bike thing all through the Baja Peninsula for 5 days in Mexico once. And so, I mean, I have a survey everyone fills out that tells me a little bit about their team. Are people older? Are people younger? How active are they? Does anyone have any injuries? Are people picky about food? Like, so I get a lot of information. And then I essentially give people some options of where I think suitable locations would be if they don't already have a location in mind. We pick one, and then I start going from there with accommodation and so on and so forth.
So is it just a bunch of research that you're doing, or do you have all of these things off
Yeah.
the top of your head? Okay. Wow.
I mean, now I have a
Right.
very good database of places and things to do and people that I work with all over the world. So, I mean, at the beginning, it was a lot of research. It's less research now, but there are times that groups want to go somewhere that I've never done any planning. So then again, the research starts over again, and then it's research and then booking everything. So,
Hmm.
um, my most popular places that I plan right now: Newport Beach is really big, Miami, Cabo, Scottsdale. Uh, Kelowna is fairly popular. I've done a
Hmm.
few groups. Vancouver's popular. Whistler, Banff is popular. Yeah, so kind of all the major
Hotspots.
cities. But then people, I just did one to Tokyo, Japan. Like, sometimes a completely random one will come up, and these guys wanted to go to Tokyo for 4 days. It was
Jeez.
like a suit. They flew from LA to Tokyo for 4 days and flew back. Like, it was pretty wild. So, yeah,
Wow.
but it's neat. Yeah, it's pretty neat to get to meet all these different people that I'm working for, but also all of these different travel companies and tour guides and restaurant owners and strip club owners. I do.
Tons of strip clubs.
Yeah,
Big
Miami.
strip club girl.
Miami. People want to go to Miami. That's what you do. And nightclubs. Like, I've never
Yeah.
been to Miami. Maybe I should go. I'd probably get treated really well down there
I'm
because
sure you would.
I have a yacht broker down there I work with, a private plane guy, right? So, I
Wow.
mean, yeah. So I don't get to experience all of these things myself. I wish I did, but
That's okay.
it's so interesting because it's like a world that I never was involved in before, and now I
Yeah.
get to see all these crazy things, and It's really amazing.
Okay, we need to take a little break because, shocker, this podcast is brought to you by my flagship company, Blush, and I need to give a shout out. So, not only does Blush sponsor my lavish lifestyle, it also sponsors this podcast. Shouts. If you know me, you know that I do not play around when it comes to beauty and self care, and that's why Blush is your one stop shop for looking and feeling your best. We genuinely do it all: hair, makeup, nails, massage, tattoo, medi spa. Basically, if it makes you feel like a goddess, we probably offer it. So, whether you're looking for a fresh balayage or a relaxing massage or a little of that I woke up like this glow, we've got the experts to make it happen. Think of it as self care, but with a little extra love, sunshine, and family. And actually, with our most recent expansion, we now have a private gym, physiotherapy, chiropractic services, and a lot more to help your body. So, if you are ready to treat yourself, book an appointment at Blush Artistry because let's be honest, life's too short for bad hair and uneven eyeliner. You can find us at blush-artistry.ca or over on Instagram at blushartistrymua. Back to the episode. So, if anyone's ever planning a retreat for me, I would rather not do a mountain bike thing around Mexico. I'm good on that.
It was dirt bike.
Okay, even worse.
That's even worse.
Like,
I
that
know. I
sounds like a
wouldn't do it
broken
either.
arm.
I know.
Okay, I've done a few team building, not a few. I've done quite a few on my team. Like, we've got a really large team, and I never make it mandatory. But I would love to hear your favorite team building ideas or events that you've seen, even if like top 3, top 5, if you have insight to those on these retreats.
One really cool one that I did was so the group wanted to do something kind of rustic. So I sent them to Muskoka in Ontario, north of Toronto, and they did a canoe trip with no cell service through the lakes there because it's like Ontario Lake Country. But they had to do all of their own like portaging. So like carrying the canoes on their head, like old timey
Wow.
portaging through like sloughs and swamps and set up their camp and cook their food. They had guides with them who brought stuff, but they had to do it. It was like portaging that they literally did that, and they had to work together, all of them, to carry the canoes together and like kind of build a good dynamic within their team to make sure that no one was falling in the water or dropping the canoes or breaking stuff or whatever. And I think they were there for 4 days, so they had to kind of figure that all out amongst themselves. The guides didn't really help of how to like learn how to do that, which is something that most people have never done.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like a fur trader type of thing. Like it was.
I've never even
That's
heard
what
the
they
word
did.
portage.
They portaged through like where the fur traders used to go
Wow.
back in the day. It was very neat. So they said
That's
that
so
was
cool.
such a cool experience. On the same retreat, they also rappelled down the building in Toronto when they landed, and they also said that was a good experience. I have a company I work with that you could rappel off of essentially any building in the world. They have connections everywhere that you can hire them,
Literally
and
and
they'll come there.
figuratively.
Yeah, yep. And they'll go on the top and they'll set up all the rigs, and you go up and you go down. We're trying to do one at Stantec here. We're just waiting for permission at Stantec Tower in Edmonton because that's the highest building in Edmonton. Yeah. So they said that was the whole thing. They said was good because they had to really face their fears, like with the building and the portage and whatever. So they said that was awesome, like great team building. Had to work together. I'm trying to think of another. Oh, I had a group actually. This is a bit of a funny story. So I had a group from that I work with all the time. They're a group of older, like in their 70s, entrepreneurs from New Orleans, and they were going to Scottsdale, and they sent me this big thing about how most of the people they know carry weapons, but they don't like to carry weapons. And I'm like, I'm in Canada, like none of us carry weapons, so I get it.
We don't do that, homie.
So they wanted to do like a seniors like self-defense class.
Okay,
So I sent them to like an MMA guy in Scottsdale that like literally taught them how to fight. And they were old. They were like one guy's like I have like a really bad back. One guy's like I'm in remission from cancer. Like they were like
I have a
some old guys, and they met with this MMA guy. Yeah, and this guy taught them how to fight if anybody ever approached them in the street because they don't carry, and how to like win a fight. And they said it was amazing. Like good to know information, but they said it was like the most hilarious thing they'd ever done because this guy was so unhinged and like total MMA fighter guy. Like they said it was amazing. They said it was so much fun and they learned a lot of stuff, but also like really good team building sort of because they had to fight each other. So they said it was like
Oh
pretty
my God.
cool to do it. So that was another good one. Some other I've done like tons of surfing. Surfing's a big one actually in
Mm,
Cabo. A lot of people they've never surfed before. That's a really fun one because everybody kind of gets together and learns something
yeah.
new with each other. I mean, for local, I don't really do a lot of local stuff in Edmonton. One of the best team building things, actually, I think, is wine tours. Like Kelowna wine
Mm,
tours are so fun. Everybody likes it. I work with a really fun company out there that does a really good job. And it's like, you have a few drinks and they put on some music and you get to go out to all the different wineries and people seem to really enjoy that because it brings them together. They don't have to drive, so everybody can have a fun time. And most people haven't experienced it that I send over there. They're coming from the States, so they've never been there.
right.
And they really, really, really enjoy it. The other big one, too, are the tea house hikes in Lake Louise.
Oh
I have
yeah.
a guy, I have a private guide I work with in Banff. He's amazing. He only does small groups. He's local from Edmonton. He used to work for the Edmonton Oilers, and he started a tour company down there. And he's taken some guides that I know from the States that have never even, unless you've been to the Rockies, you don't know how amazing it is. And they
Totally.
have never seen anything like that in their life. And then they got to do like the Lake Louise tea house hikes, and they said it was like a once in a lifetime opportunity for them to experience something they never would have experienced that's like so unique to Canada and Alberta, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's, and I think I am a very I've learned this from Cameron, my partner. He's a very like adult child, he doesn't take himself seriously. He's always having a
Yeah.
good time. And as adults, especially in a corporate world or as business owners, trying to move forward in this world, we don't have fun anymore. We don't do anything
Yeah.
fun. We don't put
Yeah.
boxing gloves on and learn how to fight each other. Like, that's so
Yeah.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah. 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 And it's good, on in from a retreat aspect too, because it gets everyone kind of loosened up and having, fun, like you said, and connecting with each other, doing an activity they never would do with their families or their wives or their other friends or whatever. Like I try and really curate things to the group and make things really unique and find
Mhm.
experiences for people that you can't just Google and find. They're really unique experiences.
So, what are some trends that you're seeing in the retreat world?
I have a lot of Americans coming up to Canada because of the dollar. They have a $50,000 budget, but they actually have an $80,000 budget because
Right.
when they come to Canada, things are a lot less, or with the dollar, it makes
Yeah.
it a lot less expensive. So that's a big one. I have a ton of groups from the States asking me about Canada and coming up here. Another trend I'm seeing is like a big uptick, and this is especially with forum groups from EO and YPO that are all men of like hardcore once in a lifetime adventure travel, like the dirt bikes, like the rappelling. People seem to be heli skiing is another really big one
Mm.
uh, that I get asked about a lot.
Mhm.
Hunting is a big one I get asked about. Like, can I come to Canada and do like some really like cool hunting? And so I quite often have groups doing like some pretty extreme sports stuff. That's a big trend. Like I mentioned before, my trendiest city probably right now is Scottsdale, and I love
Mhm.
Scottsdale. It's pretty wonderful there. It's a great place for a retreat. Weather's great, lots of restaurants, lots of fun stuff to do. It's beautiful there. So I mean, I probably have the most asks for Scottsdale, I would say. Um, yeah, and I think there's also sort of some trends towards executives who are normally known as being stuffy and whatever, letting loose and allowing their teams to have fun. Um, a lot of times I don't work with the executives. I work with the HR manager, for example, and she gets to plan the whole thing with me, and the executive is blindly coming along,
Cool.
which is, just allowing the to the control is out of his or her hands, and they just come along. Another really big trend are blind retreats. So I do these, I would say like half my retreats are blind. So I work with one person, they don't tell anybody any information except for what they need to pack, when they need to be at the airport and if they need their passport. And everyone shows up at the airport at a certain time and they get an itinerary and they get to see where they're going and what they're doing.
That is
I
so
do that
freaking
lots.
cool. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And that helps too with too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Because then people aren't saying, well, I wanted to do this, or I know somebody here that can do this for us, right? It's just you show up and you have to just let go. And it's really
Mm-hmm.
hard to let go of control for a lot of people, right? And this
Mm-hmm.
is a really good lesson in just allowing somebody else to take control and enjoying yourself fully because you don't have to do anything. You just have to show up and participate.
You know how many people listening to this podcast right now are like, there's no way in hell that I would ever sign up for that because they can't let go of the control and the anxiety. Like I tons of people, you know, it's
Yeah.
we have control over every single aspect of our lives nowadays. And like, you know, people can't even let someone pick a restaurant, let
Yeah.
alone a 5-day retreat.
Right. Yeah, it's very common. The forum groups especially do this. It's very common with forum groups. They switch the planner every year, and they always do it blind.
Hmm.
Most of them do. It's just really common with EO and YPO to do that. I'm not sure why it was just started once, and then they kind of just roll with it
Yeah, I love it.
and go with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Do you have anything coming up for AMP or AMP?
I do. Oh, I have lots.
Ooh.
So, my big one right now I'm doing. So, I am working with the Entrepreneurs Organization Global because they're a global organization. I'm working with Global and I'm working with the SLP chair. And SLP and EO stands for Spouse and Life Partners. So, normally in EO, the members get to do a lot of really amazing things and they have chapter retreats and global retreats and all these things. But the spouses sometimes get put to the side. And so I'm planning a global spousal retreat, spouse and life partner retreat for EO in Cancun, Mexico in October. There's going to be about 50 of us there, and it's people from all over the world, all spouses of EO members. So we're all
Wow.
kind of in the same boat. My husband is a member of EO, so we're all kind of in the same boat. And we're going to do some tours and have a facilitator and do some breath work. We're going to go to a foam party. A lot of people haven't done that, so that'll be really
Love
fun.
a phone party.
Yeah, we're going to do dine arounds, which is dine arounds are a big popular thing. That's another trend, I guess, where I randomly pick, I put people in groups of 4 and I pick who they have dinner with that night. So I randomly pick people. And so they have dinner with people they normally wouldn't talk to or wouldn't meet with or don't
Mm.
know. And so I make a dinner reservation at all the restaurants to accommodate everyone. And you sit with the person that you've been assigned. And so we're doing dine arounds, um, sound bath, just a whole bunch of things. So it'll be a really good one. It's the first one that they've ever done. It was a person from the States and I that decided we should do this and it was needed and we got support from Global and here we are. So I'm doing that.
That's
That's a
awesome.
really, really exciting one. I'm doing a large retreat for a nonprofit in Muskoka in Ontario. They're going up to like the JW Marriott there, which is a beautiful hotel in Muskoka. It's really, really nice. And they're from all over Dubai, China. They're a crypto
Wow.
company. Dubai, China, Toronto, States, and they're doing their annual retreat there. So that's a pretty fun one. I know nothing about crypto, so it's like really interesting to learn about this kind of
Hmm.
industry through people that I normally would have never met if I was
Yeah.
in any other job. So yeah, and they're
That's
they're always
awesome.
trickling in. Yeah. So I've quite a bit on my plate, but I have a really awesome assistant. She's the best, and I rely on her for a lot. So I'm really glad that I have her, and together the two of us just we get stuff done.
Crush
So
it.
it's good.
Yeah.
We do.
Amen to support staff. I completely agree.
Oh, best thing I ever did. Best
I
thing I
know.
ever did.
I know. Everyone listening who's still doing everything yourself. That's one of my pillars. Talk about hiring a team. We'll do a little rapid fire here. I have some questions for you.
Yeah.
You said that Scottsdale is a really popular place, but what's your favorite retreat location?
My favorite retreat location is Kelowna. I love Kelowna. I love the
Really?
wine industry. I love good wine and good food, and I love the Okanagan. And I give it as an option to everybody that contacts me because I
That's
think it's
awesome.
a hidden gem in Canada that people need to see.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I'm going to stop the rapid fire for a second. You keep talking about people traveling to Canada, which I love because this is going to boost our economy. So everyone keep
It is,
coming.
yeah.
What is your go-to airport snack?
Oh boy. Uh, Almonds, like
Okay.
the candy almonds. I would never buy candy almonds in normal life, but airports
Yeah, to
just hits
airports only.
different.
I think mine's beef jerky for some reason, and then I just get it stuck in my teeth, and then I'm
Mm,
angry the whole time. But I'm
that's a
also like
good one.
protein. Okay, what is your most unexpected retreat request?
Besides the strip clubs.
I mean, that's expected.
Uh, oh boy, my most unexpected retreat request. Probably one of them was, this is probably one of them, was a massive yacht. I'm talking like billionaire yacht
Mm.
situation. And I was like shocked that these people were going to be going on this yacht and they wanted it fully staffed, all the food, all the booze, everything. It was only 6 or 7 of them, and they got this massive, amazing yacht, and I was shocked, but it was awesome. It was a really cool experience. They met people at a nightclub the night before and just invited everybody with them on the yacht to like make it a big party. I
I'm a
was so
huge
jealous
fan
I
of
wasn't
Below
there.
Deck. Do you watch Below Deck?
No, I don't. I've never seen it.
Oh gosh, I want to get a mega yacht so bad. So I mean, even just renting them, they're like 150,000. I mean, you would know. Actually,
Yeah.
do you know how much they are to rent for 5 days?
Oh, yeah, like around 150,000. They just did it for like one day, but here's a hot
Okay.
tip.
Yeah.
Croatia, you can go to Yacht Week in Croatia. You can rent a yacht that sleeps like 30 people for 5 or 6 nights for like 30 grand, but then it's like $1,000 a person. It is very inexpensive, and it is a full on yacht. Full on yacht. It's
When
called
is
Yacht Week.
when is Yacht Week? I'm writing this
It's
down.
in the summer sometime. They'll have different blocks of time. You can just Google it. There's like a week in July and a week in August. I don't know when they're doing it this year, but
Wow.
so there's a hot tip for you. You can get a very inexpensive yacht during Yacht Week in Croatia, fully staffed, all your food, all your drinks, everything.
Okay, so this podcast was worth it just for that hot tip.
There's my hot yacht tip for the day.
That was so valuable. And I bet everyone listening is gonna be like, we're going. What is one thing that you always have in your carry-on?
Well, besides my phone, these noise canceling headphones, man,
Mm,
oh man, these have changed my life on the planes.
yeah.
It's so nice to not have to hear that noise, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like can get a little aggravating, especially on longer flights or people talking. These
Mm-hmm.
have been a lifesaver. Noise canceling headphones. I'd buy them again and again and again. They're the best.
Do you feel like they're uncomfortable though, like this kind? Over the head kind?
No, they're okay. I mean, I felt my earbuds were more uncomfortable, so I don't
Okay.
mind these. These are Bose, and they're very like soft and comfortable. I like them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're something you make me want to buy some. Um, what is lighting you up in business right now?
The retreat I'm planning for the spouses is really exciting for me because it's a first time we've ever done this. We're already talking about next year we're going to do Europe. Year after we're going to do Asia. So that's like
Awesome.
really jacking me up. The other thing that I'm really excited about is there's been a really big uptick of like awesome networking events in Edmonton. And
Mm,
like my husband and I try and go to as many as we can. And there's some really great opportunities to meet people and get business and just be around like-minded people. I'm like really loving it. We go to them all the time. Like there's one in May I just signed up for just randomly, just because it's cool and it's awesome to see so many business owners in Edmonton attending and planning and putting the work in so we can all kind of connect with each other. I really like that.
okay. Invite me next time.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Yeah, for
What is
sure.
the one that you're going to in May?
It's called Messed Up Mondays, and it's at the Epic Food Market.
Oh,
It's like May 6th. It's whatever the Monday is, and they have a speaker talking about how they messed up in business, and then they have networking,
oh, that's
and it's
great. I mean,
free. Yeah,
oh,
it's super
what?
neat. But
Oh,
yeah, my husband's a speaker on it in September, so we're going in May to check out and see what it's about, and yeah,
oh, that's awesome. Oh, yeah. I
yeah,
mean, learning from other people's mistakes is one of the most valuable things as a business owner, for sure.
yeah, it's a good one. So we're gonna try it out. I mean, it's just so great. Like our the community in Edmonton has been very supportive for sure.
Yeah,
We have a good community here, good business community.
we sure do. Edmonton is, it kind of gets pooped on a lot,
Hmm.
but this is a great city. We've got an
I love
incredible
it
river
here.
valley. We have such great communities and support, especially in
Yeah.
the entrepreneur business. I totally agree. And I'm so happy that
Yeah.
networking is coming back because, social
Yeah.
media is boring, kind of, and it's like so surface level. Um, and so networking is incredibly valuable. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, this was incredible. This was so nice. It was very valuable.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, I have never had a guest like you on the podcast. Lots of times it's like mindset coaches and salon owners, and this is just a totally new thing. So I jumped at the opportunity. Where can our listeners find you?
So I have a website, ampsolutions.ca, and on LinkedIn, Ashley Luck. I don't really do a business Instagram because I deal with a lot of like really high level corporate folks,
Right.
and I didn't feel like Instagram was appropriate. I just, if I'm gonna, I have to be very careful how I spend my time, and
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn is how I spend my time. So LinkedIn, Ashley Luck, and ampsolutions.ca, and I'm always happy to chat travel with people, or if they need a tip on where to go or what's hot or what's fun or restaurant recommendations. I have really great contacts kind of all over the world, so happy to always help. Definitely have a help first mindset, and I want to pass that on to other people. So
I love that. That's what goes around comes around, my friend.
yeah,
Okay, thank you so much for spending this time with me. If we can find another reason to have you back on the show, I absolutely will.
awesome.
It was a pleasure talking to you, and we will see you soon. All right, another episode bites the dust. If you loved this conversation as much as I did, don't forget to hit follow, leave a review, or even send it to a friend you think would enjoy it. And because I like to keep things fun, we're always running giveaways with our amazing guests. So make sure to check out the show notes, our Instagram page, get in on the details on how to get the free stuff because it's free and fun. And who doesn't like that? Another little disclaimer. While I love sharing advice and business wisdom, I am not your lawyer, I'm not your accountant, and I'm not your fairy godmother. If you do want to be best friends, though, you can hit me up. Everything on this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, so no lawsuits, okay? Thank you for hanging out with me today. If you'd like to hang out more, you can find me on Instagram at I am Heather Dick and at the Expansion Code. And all of our free resources and consulting packages are on the website www.theexpansioncode.ca. I appreciate you being here more than you know. I will see you next time.